y'all, it's Risa with another speed build. I almost said with another episode of my Newcrest Family Tree Challenge, but that's not what this is. This is a speed build, except it's also not a speed build. It's a speed renovation. So it was going to be a speed build. So I had a very different video in mind for today, and that was going to be building a limited color palette house. I even generated the color palette. I had everything ready, and then I came to Rustic Residence here in Windenburg, and I was about to demolish it and start building a completely different building. And instead, I looked at that and I went, wow, this is a really ugly starter home. Like, holy cow, why is it so ugly? So yeah, I wanted to fix that. So instead of building my own house, I am going to remodel this one. I also wanted to keep it as a starter home because I thought, it starts as a starter home. I might as well keep it a starter home. And I decided to also keep it only base game and get together. Right, that's the one. Because that's what it came with. It came with get together. So I was trying to make this all look good. I'm not gonna lie. I really just think that this house partially was it was really bad due to the roofs. I think the roof was the biggest letdown in this build. The roofs were it was just one big roof, and it didn't look good. So I made it different. I actually really like how I fixed it up. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to keep they had this dark brown accent color going on, and they didn't really fully embrace it, which, as you guys know, I think that my least favorite thing is when you don't go all out on something. And I think that's something that the Sims team does a lot. They do it really badly in their pack decisions. In the way that I think that in the past. Nowadays they don't. They go full out, and I really appreciate that. That's what we're seeing for paranormal stuff, is that they are committing, and I love that, and I respect that. So I want to take their half-assed starter home here, because Get Together was the second expansion pack, right? I think it was the second one. And I wanted to just make it good. But they obviously just didn't go all out. And other things are, at the time, those saucer lights were expensive. So you couldn't put them in a starter home and have them be reasonable. You could only use some of these other lights in the starter home. And that was, for what they had at the time, that was okay. It's not a super dark starter home, which there are lots of really, really dark homes in The Sims 4. They're just really, really dark sometimes, especially just the starters. And so what I really wanted to do was give them something that was more livable. There's no TV in this build at all, and I was thinking about putting a TV in, but I really felt like this place needed a fireplace instead. And I know that's more expensive. It does end up being more expensive because of that, but I thought it looked nicer with the chimney and with I just didn't like the idea of having a TV. It just didn't look right when I was because I did mess around a tiny bit before I started recording just to see if it was something I wanted to do. And it just didn't look good to me. It really just didn't. It didn't look good with the TV, because it just didn't, it made the entire space feel more cramped for some reason. So, yeah, I just inside, instead decided, incited is what I was trying to say. I'm not inciting anything, I promise. But I instead decided to go with the fireplace because I thought it looked better. And God, all of our fireplace options in base game and and Get Together are real bad. I don't like them. Also, I really didn't like this kitchen. I like the fact that they didn't use the absolute worst. They didn't use the absolute worst appliances, which I think is great. But then at the same time, I do end up replacing them with the worst appliances because I wanted more money. I did end up, because when you're renovating something like this in live mode, the thing that happens is there is degradation of the value of the things that you have. So when you sell something that has been in live mode, you no longer get the same like money back from what you originally spent. So I wasn't a huge fan of that. So I did end up giving myself, at the end, I give myself another like $900 or something like that, just to be able to finish it off and do it like I wanted. I do end up also changing the counters from being the worst ones, because I think that it ends up looking like better with better counters. I splurged on better cabinets and better counters, and I did end up saving some money on doing other things. So there's that. Like, I made it smaller. Like, straight up, I made the house smaller, and that helps cut down on price. I also added an actual, like, dining table in the kitchen because they didn't have one. And they just had the island counters, but they didn't have any stools on them. So I originally was like, oh, I can just add stools. But then I was like, why don't I just get rid of the island and give them a table? Because that'll look better. Like, just straight up, it'll look better. I also did use... in the end, I do end up using debug landscaping because I liked the way it looked. I was like, if I'm going to do this, I spend so much money on trying to make the actual, like, house look nice. I'm not going to have enough to do anything that looks nice landscaping wise. So I did use debug landscaping, even though I don't generally in starter homes. I was just like, I just would like to really make this house look better. Like, this house isn't that bad for a starter home. It really isn't. It's pretty spacious and everything. And it's not, like, super, super empty like some of the other ones are. I think there's this wasted space in the hallway, but I think it's also just, like, that's what it should look like. Like, a house like this, in, like, an older house, you wouldn't have some open floor plan, so I didn't get rid of the hallway, like I was thinking about doing. I was thinking about making the living room bigger, and then just having a smaller hallway, but I kind of like the fact that the hallway is there, and it breaks up the house a little bit, and not every house needs an open floor plan. I also went and I made this specifically a children's room instead of just an extra room. It was kind of like a teen's room, I guess, before, but I made it into a kid's room because the children's furniture is cheaper, so I can do more in there and it feels less empty. Whereas if I was trying to do it with regular furniture, it costs more money and it'll end up being more empty. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to actually have stuff in there and make it like a specific kids room. And I like kids rooms anyways, as you guys know. I often just enjoy having kids rooms because I like decorating kids rooms. I think kids rooms are great. They're a great place to decorate and be able to put things in there without it costing too much. This is when I was starting to go, where can I save money so I can... So I go around trying to, like, I replace all the doors because for some reason they used expensive doors. Like, I don't understand spending money on that kind of thing in a starter home. Like, if you're going to do it, it shouldn't be... I just feel like if you're going to make a starter home, you should be using the cheapest things you can and not splurging on certain things. But then that's what I say, and then I went and got better cabinets and stuff. So, like, I can't really talk too much, because I do the same thing. But I also wanted to include, like, art on the walls and stuff and make it less just boring. And I got a rug. And look at that, I spent extra money on the whatchamacallit with the baseboard. Because they originally had the painted walls that have the baseboard and crown molding on them, and they just did not look good. Like, especially since everything in this house has been having dark accents the entire time, and then they used, like, these things with white baseboard and crown molding. And for one thing, I think we need more things with baseboards that are not white. I think it's ridiculous that we only have the cheap ones with white baseboard and crown molding. And I would also like a version that's just baseboard with no crown molding. I have never lived in a place where we had both. I've only lived somewhere where we had one or the other. So I think it, especially for, like, realism, for people who want to be more realistic, I think that it can be frustrating. Also, I had a lot of trouble with trying to figure out how I wanted the front to be landscaped. I was trying to use specifically stuff from Get Together so that it would fade into the background in Windenburg, but I really just didn't like any of that stuff, so I ended up going more for the base game debug items, because a lot of them can be used with the area in Windenburg. That's what I'm trying to say. And because the thing is that all of the greenery in Windenburg is that slightly darker green, and we do get some of that darker green swatches in the base game debug, but not in base game, like, actual buy mode stuff. Like that, the unkempt bush comes in this darker green in debug, but it doesn't come in that darker green in the actual, like, stuff you can build and buy. And that, to me, is super frustrating, because I don't want the, like, yellowy green in some places, because it just doesn't fit. Like, in Newcrest, that's fine, because all of the world items are also that yellowy green. But here in Windenburg, we have this, like, darker green color that's just less yellowy, and it just doesn't fit in so much. You know what I mean? But it's fine. It ends up being pretty cute, in my opinion. If you would like to download this, it is up in the gallery under my ID kookykitt, and I think it's pretty cute. I'm pretty proud. I won't lie. I'm pretty proud of how this turned out, especially for keeping it actually being a starter home and keeping the difference of the pack. So I'm really proud of it, and I hope you are too. I mean, you don't have to be proud of me, but I hope you like it. See, I just added some extra money because I wanted to get something for the backyard, because the backyard was empty, and that's what it was like to begin with. It was just empty, so that's fine. But yes, I'm getting towards the end of the build now. I'm just going to be doing some terrain paint and such. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up and leave a comment telling me what you think about it and what I should build next, or what EA build should I renovate next in this kind of thing. If you like this video and you want to see more like it, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit that bell button to get a notification every time I post a new video. If you would like to see me do this kind of thing live, you can find me on my Twitch channel, Curlmeister Sisters. I also stream things like Nancy Drew and Life is Strange and other point-and-click nonsense. So thank you guys so much for watching, and peace out, y'all.